Hi, I'm Dr. V. Jayalakshmi, working as Associate Professor in the Department of Electrical and Electronics Engineering, Bharat Institute of Higher Education and Research. I delivered this video lecture on Power System 2 for the 6th semester students. So in this presentation, I'm going to explain about the power system stabilities. You all know that power system consists of a number of synchronous machines operating synchronously under all operating conditions. So say synchronous generators are connected in parallel. So it operates in synchronism with the power system networks. So usually it generates the real and reactive power and injects that power into the power system networks. Then the load takes that generated power from the power system networks. So under stable conditions, whatever the demand required by the load will be satisfied by the generator real and reactive power. That is, Pg will be equal to Pd and Qg will be equal to Qd. That is, real power generated will be equal to the real power demand by the load. Then reactive power generated will be equal to the reactive power demand of the load. So therefore, for stable operations, we have to synchronize the bus with the generators over the entire operation of the generation and transmissions. So if the networks deviate from the synchronous operation, then AC generator cannot deliver power to an electrical grid. So we have to ensure whether the power system networks operate in synchronism with the power system network or not. Okay, so now we are going to discuss about the power system stability. So let us see about the definition of the power system stability. So the power system stability is also referred to as synchronous stability and is defined as the ability of the system to return to synchronism after having undergone some disturbance due to fault, switching on and off load, or due to the line or generator outage. That means here, usually under normal conditions, it operates in the synchronism conditions. But even if any fault occurs on that, then the system deviates from the synchronous conditions. That is the stable conditions. So if the fault cleared immediately, the power system network has to go to the normal condition, that is the stable condition. So that is ability of the network, we can call it as the power system stability. So we can classify the power system stability based on these three factors, that is size of disturbance considered, physical nature of the resulting instability, process and then time span involved. Okay, one by one we'll see that. First, the power system stability according to the size of disturbance considered classified into three types: steady state stability, transient stability and dynamic stability. Then according to the physical nature of the resulting instability and process, the power system stability classified as rotor angle stability, voltage stability and frequency stabilities. Then according to the time span involved, then the rotor angle stability, voltage stability and frequency stability again subdivided into the two types. That is small disturbance angle stability, then transient stability. Then again the voltage stability also classified into two types: small disturbance voltage stability, large disturbance voltage stability. Frequency stability also again classified as short-term frequency stability and long-term frequency stability. So one by one we'll see in detail. So first, according to the size of disturbance, we can classify it as a steady state stability, transient stability and dynamic stability. First, we will see what is meant by steady state stability. So steady state stability means, that is the power system stability means it's the ability to return to its normal conditions. So after undergoing the fault. So here we have to, if the fault is that is small disturbance occurs, immediately if the network goes to the normal condition, then we can say that is the steady state stability. So steady state stability of the power system is defined as the ability of the system to bring itself back to its stable configuration following a small disturbance. That means, so after a small disturbance occurs, if the power system network goes into the normal operating condition, then we can say that network is having the steady state stability. So here it can be considered only during a very gradual and impedantly small power change. Why we have to check whether the system is having steady state stability or not means to determine the higher limit of loading in the machine before going to lose the synchronism. So the main aim why we have to check whether the system is having steady state stability or not means to find the higher limit of loading in the machines. So here the load is increased slowly. So the highest power which can be transferred from the sending end to the receiving end without affecting the synchronism is termed as the steady state stability. So the highest power from sending to receiving end without affecting synchronism, we can call it as a steady state stability. So here, this is the power angle graph drawn between the generated real power and then phase angle. So initially, the power will be increases linearly with the phase, that is load angle. So when the load angle reaches 90 degree, after that, when the angle increases, if the load angle increases, then the power transferred from the sending end to receiving end start decreasing. So the maximum power transferred from sending end to receiving end occurs when the load angle is 90 degree. That we can call it as the steady state stability limit. So next we'll see about the what is the transient stability, why we need to check the transient stability conditions. So transient stability refers to the ability of the system to reach a stable conditions following a large disturbance in the network conditions. So before we have discussed steady state stability, there the fault occurs, that is the disturbance is very small, okay. But here, if the system return to its original state after undergoing a large disturbance, then we can say that as it has a transient stability. So here, large disturbance means like sudden application or removal of the load, switching operations, line fault or loss, or due to the excitation, loss due to the excitation. So the transient stability of the system comes into the play, okay. So transient stability studies are needed to ensure that the system can withstand the transient conditions following a major disturbance. So why we need to check whether the system is having transient stability limit means to ensure, okay, to ensure whether it can withstand the conditions or not. So in general studies that is related to transient stability in power system are done over a minimum period equal to the time required for one swing, okay. So here we have to check one, we have to consider up to one swing. So in that period, if it reaches to its normal condition, then we can say that is having the transient stability. So here the power system study related to the minimum period equal to the time required for one swing, which approximately around to 1 second or even. So in this period, if the system found to be stable during the first swing, it is assumed that the disturbance will reduce in the subsequent swing and the system will be stable after that fault clearing. Okay. So why here we have taken only one swing means if it that one swing, if the system is stable, then the further it is assumed that the disturbance will reduce in the subsequent swings. So next, dynamic stability. So dynamic stability denotes that the artificial stability given to an inherently unstable system by automatically controlled means. So it is also similar to the steady state stability. So it is concerned to the small disturbance lasting for about 10 to 30 seconds. So according to the fault magnitude, we can, that is the size of the fault, we can classify the power system stability as steady state stability, transient stability, and dynamic stability. So Here the power system stability is classified as, that is according to the physical nature of resulting stability, it is classified as rotor angle stability, voltage stability and frequency stability. So these three now we'll see one by one. So first we'll see about the rotor angle stability. So before that rotor angle stability, first you should know what is meant by a rotor angle or load angle. So in a synchronous machines, always two torque will be acting on that. That is electromagnetic torque. That is occurs due to the generator electrical power output. And then the mechanical torque that occurs due to the input mechanical power through a prime mover. So in a synchronous generators, the rotor, that is two types of torque will be acting on that. One is the electromagnetic torque and another is the mechanical torque. So the angle between these two, electromagnetic torque and mechanical torque, is called the rotor angle. So under synchronous condition, that is if the generator and then power system networks operate in the same frequency. So in that conditions, the electromagnetic torque will be equal to the mechanical torque. Okay. So, but if any fault occurs on that, okay, so the electromagnetic torque will not be equal to the mechanical torque. So in that, the balance between the electromagnetic is disturbed. So due to disturbance in the system, this will lead to oscillation in the rotor angle. So usually the rotor angle is constant in normal conditions. So rotor angle, what is the rotor angle? So rotor angle means angle between the electromagnetic torque and then the mechanical torque. So under normal condition, the load angle is constant. That is, rotor angle is constant. So if any fault occurs on that, then electromagnetic torque will not be equal to the mechanical torque. So due to the fault, then that will lead to the oscillation in the rotor angle. So if the system, that is rotor angle stability, refers to the ability of synchronous machines of an interconnected power system to remain in synchronism after being subject to a disturbance. So during the disturbance, then the oscillation will occur in the rotor angle. So after the fault cleared, if the system goes into the normal conditions, then we can say that is called the rotor angle stability. So rotor angle stability again classified into a small disturbance angle stability and large disturbance angle stability. So small disturbance rotor angle stability. So it is the ability of the power system to maintain synchronism under small disturbance. So usually we can classify the disturbance as based on the magnitude, small disturbance and large disturbance. So after the small disturbance, if the system able to goes into the normal, that is synchronous condition, then we can say that as the small disturbance rotor angle stability. So disturbance are considered to be sufficiently here small such that the linearization of system equation is permissible for the purpose of analysis. So here the time frame of interest in small disturbance stability studies is of the order of 10 to 20 seconds following a disturbance. Here the time taken for the stability analysis condition is only the 10 to 20 seconds. So large disturbance rotor angle stability means it is the ability of the power system to maintain synchronism under a severe disturbance, such as short circuit on a transmission line. So after that is severe disturbance, if the system comes to the normal condition, that is maintain the synchronism, then we can say that the system is having the large disturbance rotor angle stability. So here disturbance are large so that the linearization of system equation is not permissible for the purpose of analysis. So here the time frame of interest in small disturbance stability studies is of the order of 3 to 5 seconds following a disturbance. So next we are going to discuss about the voltage stability. So voltage stability refers to the ability of the power system to maintain steady voltage at all the buses after being subject to a disturbance from a given initial operating conditions. For example, if before the fault occurs, if the system operating at 11 kV. So due to the fault, maybe the 11 kV may be reduced to lower value, maybe 9 kV or 8 kV like that. So if the fault is cleared, then the system again has the voltage has to go to its original value, that is 11 kV. So if that is the ability of the system to maintain steady state voltage at all the buses, that is called the voltage stability. So the system state enters the voltage instability region when a disturbance or increase in load demand or alteration in system state results in an uncontrollable and continuous drop in system voltage. So here, look at this graph. So this is the normal condition. So usually small variations occurs in the voltage, normal voltage, okay. So after disturbance, okay, when disturbance occurs, then the magnitude of the voltage is suddenly reduced. So if the fault cleared, again it has go to its original value, okay. But if the system unable to go reaches its maintain synchronism or unable to reach to its original condition, then if that means that voltage is again further reduces, then voltage collapse occurs. So instability may cause voltage collapse also. It is the voltage reduced to zero. Okay. So the system state enters the voltage instability when a disturbance or an increase in load demand or alteration result in an uncontrollable and continuous drop in the system voltage like this. The large scale effect of voltage instability leads to voltage collapse. So large scale of voltage instability. So voltage instability here, it is the small scale. So after certain period, it reaches its original value. But here in this figure, so in this case, the voltage, that is voltage, large scale effect of voltage instability occurs to voltage collapse. It is a process by which a sequence of events accompanying voltage instability leads to a blockout or abnormally low voltages in a significant part of the power system. So the driving force for voltage instability is usually the loads. So again, depending upon the fault magnitude of the fault, whether if it is a small disturbance or large disturbance, then the voltage stability again classified as small disturbance voltage stability and large disturbance voltage stability. So if the system reaches to its maintain its synchronism after small disturbance, then we can call it as a small disturbance voltage stability. If the system maintain its original actual value after large disturbance, that is called a large disturbance voltage stability. So here a combination of both linear and nonlinear techniques are used to analyze the small disturbance voltage stability. So here large disturbance, here the study period of interest may extend from few seconds to 10 minutes. So the duration of the voltage stability studies are few seconds to the 10 minutes. So now we are going to discuss about the frequency stability. So frequency stability refers to the ability of the power system to maintain steady frequency following a severe system upset resulting in a significant imbalance between the generation and load. So if there is an imbalance occurs in the generation and load, when the imbalance will occur? Okay, during the fault. What is the imbalance means? The generated real power and then the load demand real power will not be equal. That is PG will not be equal to PD and QG generated reactive power will not be equal to the load demand reactive power demand by the load. So when QG not equal to QD or PG not equal to PD, then the unbalance occurs in that. So because of that unbalance, frequency may be deviate from its standard value. So in India, we are using the 50 hertz frequency. So due to fault, maybe the frequency 50 hertz may fall to below 48 like that, 47, 45 like that. Okay, so why the frequency deviate from its standard value means because of the imbalance between the generation and load. So frequency instability leads to tripping of generating units under load. Okay, if a frequency instability occurs, then there will be an that leads to tripping of generator or loads. So frequency stability may be of short-term phenomena or a long-term phenomena. So now we are going to discuss about the voltage difference between the voltage stability and rotor angle stability. So voltage stability means the system has to maintain its voltage, that standard voltage after the fault occurs. So rotor angle means the load angle, that is the rotor angle should come to its actual value after being disturbed after the disturbance occurred. Okay, so voltage stability means here the stability is concerned with the load. Okay, so whenever there will be changes in the load, then voltage also will be changing. But a rotor angle mainly concerned with the generators, because rotor angle means that is the angle between the electromagnetic torque and the mechanical torque. So these two torques usually occur in the generator only. So rotor angle stability, it's a stability concerned with the generators. Then here voltage stability concern in load areas, and it depends on the load areas and load characteristics. Okay, induction motor load, capacitive load are changing like that. But here the rotor angle is mainly concerned with remote power plant connected to a large system over a long transmission lines. So here in the case of voltage stability, voltage collapses of load area is possible without loss of synchronism of any generators. So voltage instability occurs without loss of synchronism. But here, if voltage collapse at a point in a transmission line transmission system remote from loads, it is in nature of angle instabilities. So here voltage stability related to reactive power transfer, but here the load angle stability mainly related to the real power transfer. So rotor angle depends upon the real power transfer, then voltage here depends upon the reactive power disturbance. These all are the difference between the voltage stability and rotor angle stability. So still now we have discussed about the what does mean by a power system stability, then what are its types like that. Then so we can improve the stability of the system by using shunt and series capacitors, generating system and FACS control, governing system and FACS controllers. So here we have to maintain the stability conditions, otherwise it will affect the entire operation of the generation and transmission. So the stability can be improved by using shunt and series capacitor or governing system and FACS controllers. Then it will reduce the transmission. If we maintain the stability, then it will reduce the transmission losses also. So now we are going to discuss about the swing equations. Then how it will be used to analyze the stability analysis in the power system networks. Okay. So let us consider a synchronous generator supplied with the input shaft power PS. Okay. So in the generator means it converts the mechanical energy to the electrical energy. So we have to apply the mechanical power to the generators. So when the mechanical power is applied, then it will start rotate, cuts the magnetic field, and it generates the voltage. So here the input shaft power is PS, producing a mechanical torque PS. That is the mechanical torque here, it is represented as a TS, okay, shaft torque. So if you apply this mechanical input power, then the rotor starts rotating, okay. So this makes the machine rotate at a speed of omega radian per second. And the output electromagnetic torque and power generated on the receiving end are expressed as a PE and PE. So PE is the electrical power generated and T is the electromagnetic torque. So here you just notice that here the shaft torque and then electromagnetic torque both operating under opposite directions. So when the synchronous generator is fed with a supply from one end and a constant load is applied on the other end, okay, there is some relative angular displacement between the rotor axis and then stator magnetic field. known as the load angle del, which is directly proportional to the loading of the machines. So in this case, generator is fed with supply with one end, and then another end is load is connected. So there will be an angular displacement between the rotor axis and stator magnetic field. So the angle between the rotor axis and stator magnetic field is known as the load angle. So that will be load angle is directly proportional to loading of the machine. So the machine at this instant is considered to be running under a stable conditions. So under normal conditions, the relative portion of the rotor axis and relative magnetic field is fixed. Okay, for like this. Okay. So normal conditions, the load angle, that is del naught is the load angle, that is the angle between the stator flux and rotor flux. So normal conditions, the rotor axis, the relative portion of the rotor axis and then the resultant magnetic field is fixed. So due to any disturbance, during any disturbance, the rotor either accelerate or decelerate with respect to synchronously rotating air gap MMF, creating relative motions. So usually in the normal condition, the relative, the angle between the rotor, stator flux, rotor fluxes remains same. But when the fault occurs, the rotor flux either start accelerate or decelerate. Okay, with respect to this synchronously rotating air gap MMF creating relative motion. So the swing equations of generator describe the relative motion between the rotor axis and the synchronously rotating stator field axis. So what is the swing? What is the purpose? Main objective of the swing equation is it describe the relative motion between the rotor axis and synchronously rotating stator field. So like this. So it describes swing equation, describes the relative motion between the stator flux and rotor flux. Okay. So this equation is very helpful in analyzing the stability of the connected machines. So why we have to derive the swing equation means then only we can able to analyze the stability of the machines. So during steady state, rotor flux and stator flux synchronously with the grade maintain load angle between them is del naught. Okay, this is the normal operating conditions. Suppose if any fault occurs on that, rotor either accelerate or decelerate. So when it start accelerate, then the portion of the rotor flux is like this. Before it is like this, now it will be like this. So now what will happen? The load angle start increases. Okay. So for example, before that, if it is 45 degree, it may be now either increased to 50 or 60 degree like that. So after the fault is cleared, the load angle returns to original value, but it swings further. If fault is cleared, the rotor flux comes to its original position like that, but immediately it will not come to this standard original position. So it swings front and back. Okay, before it swings before coming to its original position. So the rotor makes few more swings before coming to steady state. So the equation describing the swing of rotor that are relative motion of the rotor flux with respect to stator flux is called the swing equation. So what is the swing equations? So it describes the swing of the rotor. When the swing of the rotor occurs during the fault conditions. Okay. So during the fault condition, the rotor flux increases. So after fault creates, it starts swings. Okay, before coming to its original position. So the equation describing the swing of rotor or relative motion of the rotor flux with respect to stator flux is called the swing equation. So now we are going to derive the swing equations. So let theta naught be the angular position of the rotor at any instant. Okay, angular position of the rotor. Okay, this reference axis already we have taken. Then the angle between the rotor field and reference axis theta. Okay, theta is continuously changing with the time and it is convenient to measure it with respect to the reference axis. Why here we have taken reference axis means just to measure it. Okay. The angular portion of the rotor is given by the equations. Theta equal to omega st plus del. Okay, what is del? Del is the angle between the stator field and then rotor field. And omega st because the rotor field is continuously changing. Okay, continuously changing with respect to time. So that is why theta equal to omega st plus del. So theta is the angle between the rotor field and reference axis. Del is the angle between the rotor field and stator field, and omega is the synchronous speed. So differentiate this equation with respect to time. So now we'll get d theta by dt equal to omega s plus d del by dt. So again we have to differentiate this equation with respect to time. So now we'll get like this. So if you differentiate this with respect to time, once again you'll get like this. So d square theta by dt square equal to d square del by dt square. So angular acceleration, you all know that alpha equal to d square del theta square by dt square. So alpha equal to d square del by dt square. Its unit is electrical radian per s square. So power flow in the synchronous machine is shown in the diagram. Okay, if the damping torque is neglected, okay, usually two types of torque acting on the synchronous machine. So one is mechanical torque, another one is electromagnetic torque. So under normal condition, both will be equal. Okay, Ts will be equal to Te. Okay. So that is acceleration torque will be equal to the difference between the mechanical shaft and then electromagnetic output. So TA equal to acceleration torque, okay, will be equal to the difference between the shaft torque and then electrical torque, okay. So angular moment of rotor is expressed by this m equal to j into omega. J is the moment of inertia, m is the angular momentum, omega is the speed, synchronous speed. So multiplying both sides of this equation, okay, by omega. So this equation you multiply, okay, omega TA equal to omega TS minus omega TE. So if that is power equal to omega into T, that we all know that, okay. So this is the basic equation. Power developed in the generators will be equal to torque in omega into torque. So the omega into TA will be equal to accelerating power. Omega into TS will be equal to shaft power, and then omega into T equal to electrical power. Okay. So this already we have that is m equal to j into omega. So j into d square del by dt square equal to TA. Okay, that is accelerating torque. So that j equal to d square theta by dt square, because already we have derived that d square del by dt square equal to d square theta by dt square. So here we have derived, okay, that you substitute here. Then omega, multiply again omega both sides. Omega j into d square del by dt square equal to omega into TA. So now m into d square, that is omega j equal to angular momentum. So m into d square del by dt square equal to omega TA. Omega TA will be equal to omega TS minus omega TE, that is PS minus PE. Okay. So omega TA will be equal to accelerating power, that will be equal to difference between the shaft power and then electrical power. So this equation is called the swing equation. So why we have derived this equation? What is the purpose? What is the use of this equation? Because this equation will be helpful to analyze the stability of the power system network. So in this lecture, we have discussed about what is mean by a power system stability, what are its type, why the what if fault occurs, then what will happen in the power system network. After that, we have derived the swing equations. Okay, so thank you.